feels strange. Hello gorgeous people, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if you're new here then welcome. I hope you're all good. It has been a hot minute since I said that very line, and I just real quick, I'm drinking a matcha, which is my current hyperfixation, but it's also great when I am filming videos like this, because if I get make a brew, which you all know I would rather have, it goes cold by the time I finish talking away. So if you want to pause me right now before we have a little catch up, go make yourself a drink, go make yourself a coffee, a tea, a matcha. I'm drinking an iced white chocolate matcha, which I'm actually starting to get real good at making at home. Before we get straight back into the vlogs, which are coming from this Sunday, I am so excited. I thought we would just sit down and have a little regroup, a little catch up, because it has been a minute. My last vlog was obviously at the end of last year, and I know my community on YouTube on here is so small, but honestly so many of you have like DM'd me to check in on me, see if I'm okay, asking when the vlog's coming back. The same on my TikTok, a few people have commented on my TikToks, on my reels on Instagram, and also I've seen like the comments that you've all been like going back on like old vlogs and leaving and asking when I'm coming back and if I'm alright, you know, what's been going on, how Bumper is mainly, because he's the real star of the show here, aren't you, Monkey? He's in his bed currently opposite me. But yeah, I just thought we could have a little catch up, just fill you guys in, bring you up to speed with where we're at before we just get straight back into the vlogs this weekend. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who has checked in. Like honestly, I love the vlog gang. Like you guys genuinely have my heart, and I just really want to grow this little community on YouTube. It's nice for it to be, you know, a nice small gang of us, but for those of you that do watch my vlogs and don't subscribe, make sure you do subscribe, because this is where the fullest version of my content is on YouTube. So it's so good to be back. I have literally gone over in my head how I'm even gonna do this and like where I'm gonna start, but I just need to just talk, which is just basically what I'm best at, to be honest. But honestly, 2024 last year was the best year of my life in so many ways, so many different reasons. Like it was the year that I turned 30, like so many incredible things happened. I had an absolute blast. Like when I think back to being in the Maldives pretty much nearly a year ago now, and everything that unfolded from that solo trip and after that is just crazy. Like life was just amazing, but equally it ended up being a really rough year for me, for reasons which we are obviously about to go into, but because of like what happened off the back of that mentally, it had like a really bad effect on me, which is just something I was just dealing with behind closed doors. I do feel like I hid it quite well with like when I was picking up the camera and stuff. Yeah, but these things happen. Like sometimes your best year, I think I heard Sarah Ashcroft saying that like your best year can equally be like your worst year, but that's just life. Like it's all spinning plates, isn't it? And nothing is ever like going great at the exact same time. Like all the plates aren't always amazing and spinning, like there's always something dropping somewhere. So in my last vlog of the year last year, you would have seen, if you have watched that at the very end, the very last clip of me and my mum talking. My mum came and stayed for Christmas and me and her chatting away. It was at some point like between Christmas and New Year, and two things to take away from that last clip. Loads of you were like, oh my god, you're definitely just telling your mum that you've met somebody and it's like the first time you're telling her about him. And it was, and do you know what, I kind of just filmed that just for my own sake, but then I kind of took little snippets of it and put it in the vlog because I just thought it was really cute. I just love having these things to look back on, and so that's exactly what was happening in that clip. For those of you that did guess it, I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen now anyway that I am fully in my girlfriend era, which is wild after a stretch of well, do you know what, we're going to revisit that later in this video, but yeah, that was the first takeaway from that last clip of last year. But then also in that clip you would have seen that I was pretty not physically able. I was hunched over, I was in compression, and I also had a drain hanging out of me, which is something that you sometimes have post-surgery, which was full of a bag of my blood basically, where it was draining it from my body. And everyone was like, what on earth? That is because I had surgery on the 20th of December. But just rewind from there backwards, I actually ended up having 3 lots of surgery last year in the space of 6 to 7 months. And when I tell you the effect that has, like a knock-on effect of, you know, general anaesthetic is general anaesthetic, like it really does take its toll on your body. And to have that 3 times in quite a short space of time, and not only that, the mental effects of like what was going on and like the anxiety that was coming with it, it really did floor me after that very last procedure. But anyway, because the last procedure had to just do its thing and be right, it ended up being that I was like, right, until the end of February I'm completely taking time off work. And by like work I say that obviously loosely, because there's some things that I was still able to do, because at the end of the day, like if you look at my beauty reels, for example, my face is like the main thing there, and I, you know, don't need to show my body. And there was some jobs I was able to pick up like here and there, like far and few between, but there's so much that I had to miss out on. Events, going to things, physical aspects, and also vlogging. Like vlogging was really difficult for a lot of like that part of like what was going on, which is why it's been, you know, a while for me to come back in 2025, but it's so good to be back. But yeah, after that last surgery, I was completely floored, and it was always the plan to like have a big stretch of really just sorting my body out, because it really has been through a lot in the last year. And I just feel like it's weird. I was talking to my dentist about this. He's actually a really good friend of mine, and I went to see him last week. I'm having my wisdom tooth taken out next week. That's a long story. Of course I'll be vlogging it, but I was chatting to him, and like we just like catch up every now and then. Matt made a good point. He was like, because it's cosmetic, like we often detach like the medical, like the fact that it, like surgery is surgery, whether it's cosmetic, whether it's elective, non-elective, whatever, in whichever way you want to look at it, but we sometimes often detach the medical aspect because it's cosmetic. And that's so true. It is so true, because surgery is still surgery, right? So yeah, we were just having that conversation, but coming back to that, it is a very long story. What I'm about to tell you is a completely unique situation, not only in the sense that it's really uncommon, it's really rare, it was really unique to me, but also in the sense that my surgeon, who, by the way, I cannot even stress enough, and you guys know I've always been an advocate for having surgery. If you're gonna have surgery, doing it here in the UK, you know, I've always been an advocate for like, you know, proper aftercare and really like doing your research. And like, you guys know, if you've watched my surgery vlogs or whatever, you guys know I pick things apart, I do my research, I make sure I'm going to be okay afterwards, I get myself all well prepared, and I am such an advocate for like the aftercare and like really picking apart like what it is you're paying for, and you know, who it is that you're trusting with this thing. And like, thank God I am that way, because had whatever had happened that I'm about to tell you happened and my surgeon was in another country, or it was a cosmetic surgery, sorry, bumper snoring, it's probably not the best thing, but I don't want to wake him. It's a cosmetic surgery company abroad who, you know, I've seen so many horror stories where people are just like, they've just washed their hands of people afterwards. And you know, I am so glad that I've always stuck to my gut with that kind of thing, because the way in which my surgeon, the team, the way everybody dealt with like what had unfolded was honestly impeccable. And that's not just coming from a patient, that's coming from someone who has worked in the field. Like, I worked in private healthcare, private surgery for a very long time. Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, this is a complete unique, complete adverse like thing that happened that is so uncommon. Like, it's so uncommon, especially with like breast surgery. Anyway, I'm just gonna cast you back to the 9th of May 2024. So I have a surgery vlog if anybody wants to, if anybody actually cares about the full-on ins and outs of like certain surgery details. My rhinoplasty, my implant change, everything is on my channel somewhere. And you will know if you've ever watched those vlogs how thorough I am. And like I say, thank God I am that way. But just as like a brief rundown, so 9th of May, I got my 12-year-old implants changed. I got my first BA, breast augmentation, at 18, and I had those implants for 12 years, no issues, all sweet. Silicone and my body get on very well, which is lucky for somebody who does have cosmetic surgery. And I've never had any issues, like it's been an absolute dream. The thing was, they needed changing, as they do. It is, I will say it, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, a boob job is for life, not just for Christmas. So these things need renewing, these things need changing, and my implants that I had in weren't even being made anymore. So for me, I was like, right, they're 12 years old. There was loads of different reasons, you can go and watch the vlog, but I wanted them out of my body and I wanted things that are regulated and made right now in me instead. So that was that, that's what happened on the 9th of May. I had an exchange of implants, an explant, and then obviously a reaugmentation. Now, it ended up being a more complex procedure than what I'd initially planned, and you will know that if you watch that vlog, because I ended up having what's called a capsulectomy, and I had a double capsulectomy. Now, when you have like an antibody, silicone or whatever in your body, over time your body creates like capsules, which is essentially like clumps of scar tissue, completely normal. It normally sits behind everyone's implants or around the implant, and then they just get rid of it when you have your next surgery if it's bad. Now mine was like, had a lot of scar tissue, but you know, I'm a girl who at 18 had a BA, so that was to be expected. So the capsulectomy was quite rough, and because of the capsulectomy I had to have drains put in. So I had my new implants put in on the 9th of May, everything was all good. I had a drain on each side, they come out a week post-op. So the 15th of June, I was, how many weeks am I post-op then? 5 weeks post-op, five going on 6 weeks post-op. And I was going back to work. And when I say back to work, it was my first thing, like not working remotely doing. Like, to be fair, like I dipped in and out of like a little bit of work, but it was my first thing physically that I was doing with a brand. And I was so excited because it's an isolating job anyway when you're self-employed and when you work for yourself and you work online. So like getting back around like other influencers, other content creators, beauty people with a brand that I love, I was bloody excited. I was getting ready to go to the train station at 7:30 that morning, and it's funny because I'm saying long story short, but I feel like I have to just tell you like exactly what happened. It was raining outside. I reached up only like this to get my brolly from like the top shelf of my wardrobe, and I felt really faint, and I was like, whoa, like that's really weird. Anyway, looked in the mirror because my wardrobe doors are mirrored, and I was like, oh, there's a wet patch on my t-shirt just below. I was in compression obviously, still am right now. But yeah, there was a wet patch on my t-shirt, and I was like, that's so strange, because like I was out the shower and like, my skin was dry obviously before I put my compression back on, but it was like a wet patch, like a spilt drink kind of vibe. So I was like, oh, that's so strange. And I started to feel hot, like, you know, if anybody's ever been a fainter, and I used to be when I was younger, so I know the signs of when I'm going to pass out, like you're like goosebumps up your back, and like your back gets hot, and then you start to feel a bit fuzzy. And I was like, whoa, this is happening. So I just perched on the end of my bed, whacked off my t-shirts. Instantly I thought I'll just cool myself down, but then I thought, hang on, let me just see what's going on. Like I said, 7:30 in the morning. Obviously my brother and I live together, and my sister-in-law here as well, and he'd gone out to work already. She'd come in off a night shift and was asleep in the room next door. So I unclipped everything, and then as I got to the last bit of my compression, which is like bra hooks, it was only what I can describe as when you see somebody's water breaking on like a soap, like EastEnders, Corrie, whatever, had like gushed out the bottom of like my right boob. And then as soon as that happened, that's when I was like, whoa, like on the floor, like really faint. So I shouted my sister-in-law, and then she came in. Long story short, rushed in to see my surgeon that day, and like I say, thank God he's only 40 minutes up the road, not a bloody flight away. I got operated on that very day, because what had happened is that side had built up in a very short space of time, like literally in the last 2 days, because I'd only seen my surgeon 2 days before this happened for like an ultrasound, a follow-up, a good like look at it, how the wound's getting on, everything was 10-10, like perfect. This is literally 72 hours later, 48 hours, whatever, later. 2 days later, I was back on the operating table because my right boob had developed what's called a seroma, I think it is. And it's basically like a abscessy style thing where your body's no longer dispersing any fluid, like since your drains have come out, it just kind of gets rid of like fluid around your body, whatever, in your bloodstream. And it wasn't doing that, and on this one side it built up a seroma. And the thing about seromas is it can be like the tiniest little loophole in your incision, and your body will force that fluid out no matter what, and that's exactly what happened to me. So the plan was that day, get you into theatre in the afternoon, we'll salvage the implant, like completely clean out the area, and fingers crossed we can get the implant back in. Now when I got put to sleep that day, I didn't know whether the implant was going to be able to go back in or not. It depended on what we were faced with on the inside, but obviously I was KO'd, I was under general anaesthetic. Woke up, had 2 implants, was absolutely fine. My surgeon came in to see me, and he was like, yeah, it's just a seroma, like we've completely cleaned out the area. It won't happen again, like it was just a complete random thing, like it wasn't on both sides, like it's not implant rejection, it's not this, that and the other. I'd had silicone for 12 years, so there's no way it could be like BII or like implant rejection or whatever. It was just an adverse thing that my body wasn't healing for those 2 days as it should be, and it caused that. And thank God it did at that time, because had it got any worse, or like had I been on the train or where I was supposed to be going, and yeah, it's just mad how these things happen when they do. So obviously had like a very shock surgery on the 15th of June, which I just wasn't expecting. I'd literally just got back into the swing of like work and life, and then was back to square one with recovery. Now it's already difficult when you're facing like, well, right now in this present moment, my left boob is 10 months post-op, on my right boob is 10 weeks post-op. So like there's so much going on with your body, and like general anaesthetic and surgery and meds and antibiotics anyway, and then you're faced with 2 boobs that are at completely different healing stages. Like it's just a wild time. So that happened. I was able to just like get on with life for a bit, and then I went to see my surgeon like bi-weekly. And what happened then was, because of the salvage that we did of the implant, my pocket, so they create a pocket pure implant, obviously had to have new pockets made when I had new implants, that's part of the capsulectomy, that had actually stretched a little bit, and because of that, the implant on my right hand side had slipped down. Now, the thing about all of this is, to the eye, they looked incredible. From that day of my first surgery, I cannot even tell you how elated I was that they looked so different and so incredible compared to my old 12-year-old like implants and how they looked on my body. Because I went from over the muscle to under the muscle, that's a whole other story. You can go and watch it in the surgery vlog. But you know, my body was dealing with a different process because last time the surgery was different and this time it's gone under the pec muscle. So yeah, what became apparent as I healed was the implant had slipped a little bit because the pocket had become loose, where we had to quickly get rid of the infection and get the implant back in. So we knew at that point, probably like mid-July, I reckon about 4 weeks post-op, that at some point it was going to need adjusting. So there was a third surgery like impending, because the pocket did need tightening, because otherwise the implant would just keep slipping and slipping and slipping like over the years, like you're talking over years. But it's best to just get it right. So the plan was then, we were like, right, we'll give it 6 months to let my tissues heal, because you know, the more you go back into a certain area, things get weak. This one had been operated on twice in its life at this point. This one had been 3 times in its life at this point. So this one needed a 4th times in its life surgery, and your tissues need to be able to heal and get strong again so your body can actually make the best possible chance of recovery. So we knew it would be around December time. And then sort of in November, once I kind of had like all Black Friday and stuff out the way, like in my industry, it's a really busy time. I was like, right, okay, when is the best time for me to do this? And I looked at around Christmas time because 1, I'm not bothered about Christmas anyway, you guys know that if you're a regular here. But 2, like my mother would be here because she was coming to stay for 10 days over Christmas and New Year. So that was, you know, a really good thing for me to have somebody more like on hand. And also everybody has downtime in January, like brands, life plans, everyone just has a bit of a quiet time, don't they? Because December's hectic, we all have a bit of a January reset. So I just thought it was a good time for me to do it. And you know, after scans, and like, I can't even tell you how many appointments I had and how incredible they were, we were like, right, okay, we think the tissue's good to go. So 20th of December, back under the knife. So that was my 3rd lot of general anaesthetic in the space of like 6-7 months, like I say. And it was the 4th surgery on this side in its whole lifetime, the 3rd this time round. But then obviously I had my old VA as well. So it was just a lot. But having had the surgery on the 20th of December, I am now good to go. Pretty much. Like, honestly, it's been such a long road. Like I say, I think I hit it pretty well. But yeah, going under the knife that many times in a year even, it's just wild. Like, it's actually wild. So yeah, surgery went well. That was when you saw me with my drains in at the last vlog of last year, and everything is going amazing recovery wise. Everything's just perfect. Everything's as it should have healed the first time round. And I'm so grateful for that, because I have never been more grateful for my health, but also just so grateful to the team. Like, I genuinely don't think they've ever heard thank you come out of somebody's mouth so much. My surgeon is just chef's kiss, couldn't have picked better. And he is so buzzing that we're all good. Like, he's equally as buzzing as me. Now starting to come out of compression. But that's the thing as well, like, this poor boob has been in compression for the best part of a year, pretty much, like 10 months, and it's so ready to just be out and free and fine. But then obviously you can't just wear a compression bar on one side, so I'm wearing compression still, but now I can slowly start coming out of compression. So I've got it on whenever I've got like high neck tops on, like this, because why not? But there's times if I'm wearing like a muscle like vest or whatever, like I'll start having a break from compression. Like, I've just been on holiday and I was having a bit of a break in the day, but I'm always in compression at night, and that was always a thing for me for the last 12 years with my old implants anyway. Like, I take care of what I pay for. So yeah, slowly starting to come out of compression now. Hopefully as of next week's appointment, which I might take you along to, I get the go ahead to go back to exercise. Now when I say that, it will be like lower body, like maybe going on the stepper, maybe a bit of, you know, anything I can use a cable machine, anything that I don't have to use my upper half for. So like, I can't obviously load any plates onto a squat bar or like free weights or anything like that. Pilates again is like a difficult one. If I go to like a lower body focus class, then should be able to. But now we know the incision, like no matter how much you even really pull it or whatever, isn't going to come open, or like there's no seroma, or like there's no pocket slippage. Like, now we know it is perfect. Like, honestly, like, I'm buzzing. We can start to introduce things like that back into my life, which is something that is so important to me, and kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that like dealing with it mentally has been a struggle, because like I say, general anaesthetic, consistent antibiotics, like literally so many antibiotics over the last 10 months because we're preventing infection, you know, time and time again, and trying to control certain things. And I'm somebody who's actually allergic to like penicillin and a certain group of antibiotics anyways. Like other meds like codeine, you know, which is an opioid, and to be on that for a while is not great. And there's just so many things that roll off the back of things like this. And one of those things is then like your mental health, because obviously when you go through something like that very morning on the 15th of June, what I saw coming out of my boob and like what I saw in the mirror, you know, PTSD is incredibly drastic, but like it induces anxiety that, is this gonna happen again? Like when I tell you, every moment after that has been like, when I take my compression off, like, it's my wound okay? Oh, phew. Like, I'm wiping it with like alcohol wipes, is there anything on? And you like don't want to look, and you know, it's just like, I can't even explain to you like the anxiety that comes with something like that happening. And yeah, not being able to move my body is something that has shown me why I do it. And like, I go to the gym and I, you know, thank God I've been able to get my steps in with the dog, obviously. But going to the gym, Pilates, you know, I'm somebody who's active and fit, and I've been that way pretty much ever since my teens. Ever since I was a kid, really, like movement to me is so important. And honestly, when I tell you, it really bloody is, because not being able to do any of that had such a bigger effect on me mentally than I ever thought it would. So my message to you is, if you are not somebody who moves your body, and I'm not even talking go to a dance class if that's your thing, like whatever it is, I cannot even stress to you how much energy and endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, like that brings to your life. It's wild, and I cannot wait. I'm like a kid at Christmas. I'm like a kid at that first day at school. When I walk back into a Pilates class, I will literally, it'll be like my first day at school. Like, I cannot even tell you the importance of moving your body in connection to your mental health. And I think that's something we realise as we get older. Moving your body is all about how your body feels and not even how it looks. Like, yeah, whatever the physical aspect is a benefit, but actually it's about how good it makes you feel mentally. And I just cannot wait to be somebody that can do that every single day, and I will never take that for granted. But yeah, I'm feeling good, and I'm feeling much better in myself now. Like, I finally turned a corner where I'm like, I actually feel like me again. Like, I feel like fine again. Like, I actually feel okay. Like when I wake up, like I'm up early and I feel good and I don't feel drained, and I just feel so relieved and so happy. No, I'm not just going to rush obviously back into things. Like, I'm still so anxious that something could happen, and I probably will be for like the next God knows how long. I'm just so happy to be able to have like a bit of normality back in my life. And like, that's another thing as well with like being self-employed. Like, you don't get sick days. Like, you can't ring in, like, where's my HR? Like, you can't ring in sick. Anyone who is self-employed will relate. Like, you are your one-man band. Like, taking that much time off work is scary. But I just got really unlucky. Like, it is pure bad luck. Like, it's just pure, why didn't it happen on two sides? Like, why was it the right side? Right? Like, it was just like so many questions, and like, it was just a wild year for that reason, and being so up and down because of that. But we're officially on the road to feeling good again and getting back to normal life. Obviously, alongside that going on last year, I also started the journey of freezing my eggs, which I know so many of you have been here for, like my hormone journey of like coming off the pill and like getting my AMH, my fertility tested, and being told that that was like uber low, and then obviously now trying to freeze my eggs because of that. And that again is something that, like, coming off the pill, like so many things just like intertwined of like shit storms and like clashing against each other. But you're kind of seeing like the vlogs coming from Sunday, like I'm at a point with that where I'm now just trying, well, my body needs to start ovulating again, because I've been off the pill now since September, October was it? And I am having regular periods, which is really good. They talk about 18 weeks to come back around. We spoke about that a bit, I think, in like the actual last vlog of like what I did to get my periods back. They have been regular. Some have been shorter than others, and you know, the period pains and like the emotion around periods, like that's all still stuff I'm adjusting to after a decade of not having, a decade of being on hormonal contraception, and not having periods for like the latter part of that. So yeah, it's all things that I'm adjusting to, but I am now currently just testing ovulation. Like, I'm doing ovulation sticks because basically what we think's going on is, although my body's having periods, like it's probably going to take me longer to get like my ovulation back than it is to get the period back, that kind of thing, like my body actually releasing eggs. So it's just all, like I say, a complete, like there's just so much going on. But as soon as I'm like good with like regular periods and ovulation, I can get these eggs frozen. So, you know, my dreams of getting it done at 30 is going to be out the window because I'm literally 31 in a couple of weeks. But we will get there, and I'm hoping to have that all sort of done, hopefully by sort of the end of summer. As soon as I know that I'm ovulated and I get my AMH retested and we're good to go, I will go in and have the surgery because I just want to get my eggs frozen as like a little insurance to myself. I think I kind of touched on that. I've already filmed the Sunday's vlog over the last week, and I think I kind of talk a bit about it, so I won't bore you too much about it in this video. But it's, yes, I have met somebody, but yes, it's still something I'm gonna do because you just don't know what curveballs life throws at you. Lord, don't I know it. Yeah, with that being said, I have met someone and you're just having the best time. Like, it's just everything I ever wanted in a relationship, in my life. And in the words of my mum, she said to me recently that she's just so happy and so relaxed finally knowing that like someone who deserves like the heart that I've got has got it, and like it's going to the right person, because we all know that I'm such a giver, not a taker, and I love really hard. I've got the biggest heart in the world. Like, I've always been that way, and I'm a lover, not a fighter. It's just who I am to the core. Like, I'm a lover girl at heart. Like, that's just who I am, and I've always loved hard in relationships, friendships. You know, I'm really proud of the fact that even though life has shit all over me with relationships, that I haven't let that change me. Like, we're so quick to like harden ourselves because we think that's a bad thing, but actually it's just about finding the person who deserves it and who actually is aligned with you. Like, I can't even describe the difference that makes. Yeah, I went on the first date with my boyfriend at the beginning of December. So bearing in mind he's seen like me during like my last surgery with a bag of blood in me, like literally took me to every appointment, like anything I needed at that time, like he was there for me. And we actually had a joke that like we missed the bag of blood when it came out of me because it was like the third person in our relationship at that time. Yeah, he has just been such a positive influence in my life. Like, he brings such a fresh, positive energy to my life, actually at a time where I really needed it, but probably didn't know that at the time. And I can't speak more highly of him because he's just been absolutely incredible. I think so many of you know that I like haven't dated, so I've been single for 2 years. Well, I'm not now, but I was single for 2 years. And I did not go near a man, except like one guy that I like, wasn't really a date, but it's like a loose thing, but he just wasn't right for me, and that's sweet, and like, you know, that's fine, these things happen. But I wasn't somebody like, if I look at my other friends who like went on a date, next weekend went on a date, next week went on a date, because that's just not where I wanted to be at in this point in my life. Because I think I said this before, but I feel like we need to do a lot of self-reflection in these situations. Like I said, it's not like I've gone, oh, I don't trust men, blah, blah, blah. I didn't trust my judgment of men. So I was like, Asha, what the actual fuck? Like, I made so many mistakes, and I wasn't gonna ever let that happen to me again. Like, respectfully, like, I was not putting me, my family, anyone through any of that again. So I completely detached myself from men, male energy. I didn't have sex, maybe TMI, but honestly for me, I think sex is such a huge energy exchange. Can't even speak. Sex is a huge energy exchange, and I didn't even want to do that. Like, I wasn't there. Like, I wasn't ready to date, and I wasn't ready to be in a position where if I hadn't fully recovered from my previous breakup mentally, I was gonna repeat history again. Did I expect at the end of 2024 for that to happen for me? Absolutely not. And it's weird because I wrote myself a letter in December 2023 to read on New Year's Eve 2024. And it's like a letter to yourself of things that you would like to have achieved by then, and then you read back on it as if like you've finished the year already, but you wrote it a year previous. Anyway, in that letter, it was like, I hope you found someone who likes the little things in life, who gives the same love that you give, and who really enjoys the little things in life, because that is what my last relationship missed. Like, you know, the little moments together and things that I really enjoy doing. You guys know me, coffee dates, walks, you know, romanticizing life, that's who I am. And the fact that I wrote out this thing, and now towards the end of that year, just before I was due to read that letter, it actually happened for me, is crazy. And what's even weirder is I kind of already had this gut feeling that it was going to be someone I already knew, right? But I had no one particular in mind. There's a lot of men that I already know, so it could have been literally anyone, but this is someone that I've known for 6 years, coming up to 7 years actually. And when I tell you, like, you see so much on TikTok and stuff about the invisible string theory, and like whether you believe in like the universe, whatever, or whether you think it's bullshit, but the invisible string theory is like where the universe will keep two people apart and then bring them together, whatever, however you want to look at it. That is literally our exact situation. Like, we've known each other for a long time, and it's kind of like we always knew something was there, but we'd never actually explored it romantically. From like bumping into each other in the toilets in High in Ibiza, which if you've been to the toilets in High in Ibiza, you will know it's like finding a needle in a haystack. So the fact that we literally bumped into each other was crazy. Like, this is going back a few years. And then bumping into each other on last New Year's Eve, like New Year's Eve 2023. And then just so much in between. Like, we've got like a big group of like mutual friends, basically people that I've known for even longer than him, who are like his best mate. And the funny thing is, about 3-4 years into us knowing each other, he asked me on a date, and we'd agreed to go on the date, but I was literally about to go on a trip to Miami with my friend Lauren. You will all remember that if you've been here long enough. And I was like, we'll go when I get back, because I'd had like some work things on, then we were down in London, then we went to Miami. So we agreed a date and everything, and then obviously I went to Miami, and if you all know the story of my life, you'll know what happened in Miami. I met my ex-boyfriend, so then obviously when I came home, I didn't go on the date. So the fact that I didn't go on that day is crazy. And then we kind of got back in touch like in November last year. Like, we've always like loosely like been in touch. Like I say, like we've got a lot of mutual friends. He called me one day and he was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, we were just chatting, and he was like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, oh, nothing. And he said, okay. He's like, well, then I'm taking you for dinner. He's like, I just think we should just do it. Let me pick you up at 7. I didn't know where I was going. I just had to be ready. And that was that. I just thought, you know what, just go. Like, it's been 2 years. You haven't been near anyone. Like, you actually just need to know if this is a thing or if it's not. You might have seen the TikTok when I was getting ready for the day. The fact that I recorded that TikTok of like, oh, I've just got ready on a day. Like, I haven't dated. Like, I'm so nervous. And I was so nervous because I FaceTimed my best friend Fern whilst I was getting ready. Which is our thing. Whenever like we're getting ready for things, we FaceTime. And I was so nervous, guys. I was so nervous. And when I tell you, like, he picked me up and we went for dinner. And like I said, I didn't know where we were going. I've never even had that treatment before, which is probably sad, but you know, whatever. And yeah, we had the best time. Like, honestly, the best time. It was amazing, and I'll never forget that first day. Obviously then things have just naturally unfolded from there. And when I tell you, like, the difference having a healthy love in your life makes is crazy. Like, I don't think I've ever been in like a 100% healthy relationship. And you know, all relationships have like because like whatever their problems, you know, things that they run into, but to the core, if it's healthy and it's a healthy relationship, I have somebody finally who meets me where I'm at with how much effort they put in, how kind and caring they are. Like, I've genuinely never been cared for in this way, to the point where that person feels like my safe space rather than my eggshell space. Like, I've never really had that before. Somebody who wants to do every little thing in life with me, go for a simple little coffee date. Like, so used to doing those things on my own. Even when I was in my last relationship, I did all those things on my own because that person wasn't into that kind of thing. And these are just the little things in life that I really enjoy. Even like holidays, like we just got back from a trip that we went on for his birthday, and the fact that it was just like a pure couples holiday, I've not had that in years and years. Even with like my ex, it was always like a group setting, or like we'd go somewhere because something was on, and you know, I kind of tagged along so I could actually spend some time. I know this sounds like such crazy stuff to some of you, but honestly, if you've not experienced it before, it's so nice. And yeah, I just truly have met my match in so many ways, and I feel so emotionally cared for. And that's it. It's so easy, it's so chilled. We have a laugh, we literally have like the best time. And I'm like, God, is this what I was missing out on in a healthy relationship all along? Like, is this what it's supposed to feel like? And yeah, just in hindsight, like when you think back to like a previous relationship after being single for so long and then meeting somebody, like in hindsight, my ex and I so weren't right for each other. There's always someone coming out of a breakup that moves on a lot quicker. And I think that's always hard. And like in our situation, it was him, like almost instantly. But for me, it's taken 2 years. But like, I'm really bloody glad that it's taken me that long, because I've really thought about what it is, and like I finally have someone whose core values are like mine on a level. Like, we've been able, because of that, to have conversations that I've never had going into a relationship before. How we've been hurt in the past, you know, our previous situations have been very similar. So that makes us respect each other again on a whole new level. And like things that trigger you, like your expectations, like what you're wanting out of the relationship, like what your values are. And you know, when you watch things like Love is Blind and Married at First Sight, and they're having these really open, honest, adult and grown up conversations, I'm able to have that with somebody now. And like, we've gone into this actually like, yeah, fuck me, we're a really good match. And yeah, just having someone that is all the things that you are makes such a difference. Yeah, I am officially in my girlfriend era, albeit it will be a very, very private part of my life, but I just feel so grateful and so blessed. Like, it's nice to have someone who I can talk so highly of. Do you know what I mean? And my advice would honestly be like, don't settle. Do not force anything. Like, I think I just tried so hard before and the signs are there. Like, don't ignore red flags, like especially at the beginning, like they end up being like the issues that you run into later on. And if you're not ready to date, then don't do it. Like, that's exactly what I did. I wasn't ready. And thank God I waited, because the fact that this has been under our noses this whole time of somebody that I've known for so long, which obviously does make things different anyway, like there wasn't the whole getting to know each other because we know each other very well. But yeah, it was under our noses all this time, and thank God I didn't date when I wasn't ready, because I wouldn't have been the person that I am when I met him. Being that person has allowed me to attract the same kind of person, which I feel like is so important. Like, we kind of attract what we're teaching ourselves that we deserve. So if you need time to unwire that, then absolutely go and do it. For anyone who's been following Bumper's seizure journey, God, we've both been on journeys. I've been on a medical journey, he's also been on a medical journey. I can't even point down to where he is. Bumper is doing great. He's now off steroids basically. Bumper started having seizures basically not long after my first procedure last year. So when I tell you it's all been going on, it really has all been going on. He's under Steph, who's an incredible neurologist at a hospital on the Wirral, an animal hospital, and they are amazing. They are so good. Like, you know, this dog is my life. He's my child. He's my baby. So yeah, his last MRI showed that the fluid on his brain, which was causing the seizures, has reduced now thanks to the steroids that he's basically been taking since June last year. So for the last 2 weeks you can't just go cold turkey on steroids with dogs, so you have to like wean them off. So he's been on steroids every other day, and a new tablet's been introduced alongside it, and now he's just on the new tablet, so the steroids have dropped. So now is crunch time. Like, that's only as of the last couple of days, and now is crunch time. So for the next couple of weeks he's getting monitored very closely, because if he manages to not have a seizure, then hopefully the new tablets, which he can actually stay on long term in comparison to steroids, are working, and that is good news for everybody. So I'm on the mend, Bumper's on the mend. Life's just great. Like, I have a whole new respect for like just feeling good, and like being this young and this able-bodied right now is only right now. Like, tomorrow I'll be older, the next day I'll be older. Like, we have to make the most of like every minute, and like that's honestly the way I'm going to approach this year. But yeah, I'm in this really calm, content, like settled era of my life, and honestly I haven't felt like this in a bloody long time. So I don't think there's anything else that I've got to say right now, but hopefully just as we get back into the vlogs, like anything I remember of like things I need to update you on, then I will. But it was more just for me to explain like what had been going on like surgeries wise, because there was a couple of comments on the last vlog of last year. Thank you once again for everybody who did send me a message or a comment or whatever, letting me know that you're excited for the vlogs to come back, or you're just checking in, because I think it's obvious that like I was so much more quieter than I normally am, but that was just because of everything that was going on, so I think that kind of explains it. So I love it when you guys tag me, you know, when you're like watching a vlog or a video and you take a picture on your TVs or your iPads or your laptops or whatever, and you tag me on your stories. That always makes my day, so long may that continue. Anyway, thank you for letting me catch up, and I will see you all on Sunday. Bye!